out there, ain't it? It is so wild. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, family. Welcome to the Mental House with me, your host, Khadijah. I'm so glad that God delivered me, changed my ways, shook up my world, and made me make some different choices. Because that's all life is about, choices. Either you make bad ones or you make good ones. Sometimes you make choices that affect your life in the worst kind of way. So I thank the universe for really sheltering me from seen and unseen danger, because I've been in a lot, and it kind of breaks me back to this story that happened in Chicago, and which is any inner city USA. Okay, it ain't just Chicago. Just Chicago might be bigger because they got more people. But all this shooting in the hood. Now, as a student of psychology, when you hear shit like hurt people, you can agree with that. Because you think about all the anger that you got in your life for whatever reason, you mad about it. And usually you take it out on somebody consciously or unconsciously, like a partner, a lover, whatever, your friends. Sometimes the people you hang out with a bunch of people that have been hurt. So y'all get together and y'all figure out what to do or how to inflict some hurt on somebody else. So it kind of makes you think, damn, what about a group of people who have endured so much pain for hundreds of years? And how does that pain get released? Right? Because our parents and great-grandparents, they tried to toe the line because they really didn't have no guns. They didn't have nothing. And I'm not making no excuses. I just want y'all to hear me for a minute. They had to, and sometimes they was still a gun. And if they didn't get told on, they might end up using it. They might end up killing the master, or because they was in pain. And they was like, motherfucker, who is you to inflict all this pain on me, right? So in psychology, we can teach that hurt people, right? But when it comes to our lives, in real life, in what's happening fast forward, where we were supposed to evolve, and we don't want to deal with some of the pain. We don't want to go collectively through a therapeutic dialogue between black people and white people. Although at one time that was happening, for some reason, the powers that be decided to cease that and keep focusing and start focusing on the bag. And you can't hardly move forward unless you fix what's behind you, right? At least that's what we teach in like I said, the therapeutic and communities. Okay, or in academia, this is what you're teaching. Now, let's think about what happened this past weekend with all these young people. I think about when I came up. We talk about it all the time, my friends and I. We had social center. They taught us how to be social. Yeah, we fight. Hell yeah, we fight. But for the most part, we learned how to resolve certain issues. And because guns wasn't so prevalent, people wasn't shooting each other like they are now. Guns weren't so accessible. We had to either work that shit out, call a truce, or knuckle up. Because that's really what it was in the hood. Okay? It wasn't that I'm so scared to take an ass whooping I'm gonna run in the house and get a pistol. That wasn't what it was. So when we listening to I listened to Clarissa Shields talking about how the kids used to bully her all the time, bully, and yes, we've all had bullies, but have y'all noticed that some of our kids, where we sending them to school, is just pure war zones? I mean, if they don't have to be afraid about somebody coming in and shooting up the school, you actually got gangs of girls and boys beating up children, kids, and their parents on the damn street. Now, what type of craziness is that? Corey Holcomb said something that was interesting. He said, man, we do all kinds of crazy stuff coming up. But when your mama was out there, we didn't beat the mama up too. I ain't saying we ain't never jumped on nobody that was, in our peer group. But we had enough sense that even sitting on the porch, wilding out, doing all kinds of crazy shit. Here come Miss Johnson. In fact, how you doing, Miss Johnson? How you doing? Because we had respect for each other. Okay, so when I listened to Clarissa Shields say that she was beat up and girls would try to bully her, she wasn't taking no ass whooping, she said. And I look at the hood, I look at it in general, and I'm saying, how do we expect to survive? And then we get mad, as we should, that the president sent all these freaking nuts in to control us when we can't even control and it's because we can't control ourselves. And that's where the problem come in at. We're not controlling ourselves. Our kids, they wild. They not out there marching and standing for something. See, when we tore up some shit, but we had a purpose behind some of the stuff we did. If we had a riot, you can bet it was a purpose behind it, and that's how we got shit moving. We just wasn't out there at random just beating people up for no reason and shooting them. Because that don't hardly get nothing done but your ass in jail. Right? So check this story out. This is what happened on, it's State Street in Chicago.
That's from Alderman Brian Hopkins, who's of course one of the downtown aldermen, and this is the alderman speaking here, so that's who we're attributing this to. He has posted a tweet on X, 300 juveniles, he says, noted rioting in the Loop now.
300.
5 victims have been shot, 1 critical with life-threatening gunshot wound to the torso. Multiple police officers attacked and injured with mace and stun guns. At least 1 police officer has been hospitalized. That's according to downtown Alderman Brian Hopkins, who has been very vocal, Rob and Cheryl and Trey, about the need to have new rules and engagement for the Chicago police in terms of how they can deal with youth and how they can deal with large gatherings of youth that happen, as Cheryl, as you say, when the weather gets nice. And it became quite a political story, not just a few months ago. Brian Hopkins, one of the big advocates for allowing the police to have much more flexible rules, ability to declare a riot, declare an unpeaceful situation, and to clear people out. So these numbers that he's talking about are a lot bigger than we had heard earlier before. He's saying 5 people injured, shot, I should say, at least 1 with the life-threatening wounds.
And there was always that conversation about the curfew between the mayor and the superintendent and the alderman, and that discussion was a constant discussion, and I'm sure this will become a very much. So
what happened? 300
once again. If he says
juveniles,
he saw, or he's getting information that 300 young people, and at 9:45 tonight,
went off.
I went to Rob's office. I went out
down State Street.
You guys, something is happening.
They shot 5 in the Loop.
I'm not sure if it's a team takeover, and everybody started.
At least 2 shot on State Street.
If they had any information, if there was some kind of meetup,
and
because it started to
all
get
these
violent,
kids,
and then 5 minutes later, that's when the gunshots were fired.
We saw these team takeovers.
Okay.
Over the summer.
Team takeover. And I want to
fall.
thank
Now, we
ABC
wanna
in
play-
Chicago for this story. But what we don't seem to, want to think about or want to deal with is that how many social outlets do these young people have? How many? Because if they out here can do this kind of stuff, and of course, granted, this is the day and age of social media, and I realize that the internet is the devil, okay, if you don't use it correctly. But my point is, we have made nothing in this time between the internet taking over and kids doing what kids do. Most people know that when children get a certain age, you have to you have to inundate them with a whole bunch of stuff growing up, so they give them an opportunity to make better choices, because they're around different kids and they're around different things. That's how when Clarissa got into boxing and it stuck, that she was still out there tough, but it gave her the opportunity to make a choice that changed her life. These kids not having the opportunity to change their lives. Some people said, well, they got gyms, they have stuff, they just don't participate. Why not? Why don't we have recruiters making it a resource for these kids have something else to do? Because if your mama, I know y'all remember your mama and them grandmama used to say, an idle mind is devil workshop. So if you don't have anything to do, and it's a bunch of kids, because here's how I tell my boys, 2 of y'all, fine. Whenever that third boy come along, and now it's 3, you start triangulating the situation. And that's when shit jump off 9 out of 10 times. Once that number get over 2. Because these 2 can be in agreement, and then the third one might be like, hey, why don't we go and look in Miss Jones' basement and throw something different in the mix. These kids have met up on State Street. They're out of control. And now they trying to think about what to do with these out of control children. And these are our children. As quiet as it's kept. Corey mentioned the kids again that beat the woman and her kid. And then when you tell the mama is so out, because she had a baby at 12 and her development has stopped at 13 and 12, 13 years old, you can't even have a conversation with her as an adult, even though her body may be growing up, because her mind is still stuck when she had that baby, a 13-year-old, a 12-year-old. So you're dealing with an overgrown, immature 12-year-old. Instead of them listening, instead of them teaching their children self-control, they don't have it. They'll go into the schools and beat up the teacher. So this problem that we have in our community, we have to take care of that. We got to take care of it. Because Massa ain't going to do nothing but come in and kill us. He's programmed to do that. You're unruly. You don't listen. You're messing up their bag. So they're going to have to do something about it seriously. And these are our babies. So you can't let this problem is like 3 or 4 fold. And each one of the foes got to be operating on a certain cylinder. It ain't going to just work with one thing. You can have increased Chicago police presence. Okay. Can you think of anything creative? Can you think of anything besides adding more police, adding more police, adding more police? That's no leadership. See, a good leadership make you want to put your shit down. Good leadership make you want to change your ways. You be like, it could be a record you heard. Feel me now, feel me. You can get caught into some shit and get to listening to, and it change your life. Just like these young people ain't listening to nothing but gangster rap, killing rap. Y'all think that's by accident or y'all think that's by design? It's by design. That's why they took music that made sense off the air, because we're in the business of socially engineering shit. We in the business of creating a problem and then telling you we can give you the help for the problem, although we created the problem. Okay? On some level, this is how the system looks at what's going on. Somehow we gotta reel our kids in. Somehow. Now everybody ain't gonna be saved, and I realize that. We got men folk in our community who've allowed their damn kids to roam through these streets like tumbleweeds in the desert. Yeah, they pop up in the parents. Oh, that's my daddy. Yeah, that's my daddy. Daddy ain't never fend for them. Daddy ain't never made no sacrifices for them. And guess what? All they got is a mouthful of excuses why they didn't. Okay? All these things, all this pile up on that pain of that kid. You got so much a cesspool of madness going on that if we don't grab this bull by the horns, it's like a bull in a china shop or at a rodeo. We have to get a grip and get a hold to our babies. You know, y'all don't want martial law? Then we need to stop doing everything and that would allow them to pull that shit on us. They ain't talking about nobody else. I don't see a bunch of Laotian or a bunch of Latin or a bunch of, I ain't gonna say Latin, or a bunch of white kids acting like that. I don't see a bunch of Japanese gangs. I'm not saying that it's not none. I don't see them taking over the busiest downtown street in the second largest city and get to shooting. I haven't seen that one Latino gang yet that's done a Japanese gang, a Laotian gang yet, Vietnamese gang, because I live around them. Okay? So it is the culture. And they doing it for nothing. Pretty much. Because what's happening is you just getting more and more restrictions on yourself. And that's what we have. So this is a real sad commentary, y'all, and there's increased shooting. They just want to unleash on us, on our babies so bad. And when they do, I don't want to see us out in the middle of the street talking about they was good kids. Because they wasn't last night or they wasn't today. And they was with bad kids and they end up the same karma that was for them is for your child. And I hate it for you to have to bury him. I don't know. What say y'all? I done ranted enough. If you like what you hear, please like, subscribe, and share. And I'll see you in the next video.